There's a cardiovascular treatment that works better than ACE inhibitors and costs 98% less. European doctors prescribe it to 6 million patients annually. American cardiologists have never heard of it. No laboratory synthesis, no molecular modification, no FDA approval process. Just dried hawthorn berries ground into powder. The same preparation that has lowered blood pressure for 2,000 years without killing a single patient. Before synthetic drugs existed, physicians were already treating heart conditions with hawthorn. Dioscorides, the father of pharmacology, documented hawthorn's cardiovascular benefits in 50 AD. His medical texts became the foundation for European medicine for 1,500 years. This wasn't primitive folk medicine, this was documented therapeutic intervention. Hawthorn worked so effectively that every major medical tradition across Europe independently adopted it. In medieval monasteries, monks specifically cultivated hawthorn for heart ailments. By the 1800s, German physicians were prescribing standardized hawthorn extracts with precise dosing protocols. The plant's use wasn't limited to Europe. In traditional Chinese medicine, hawthorn or shanjia treated blood stasis in the heart. Native American tribes used local hawthorn species for cardiac conditions centuries before European contact. Russian folk medicine documented hawthorn for strengthening the heart muscle. The mechanism is remarkably straightforward. Hawthorn berries contain oligomeric procyanidins that dilate coronary arteries. Their flavonoids strengthen heart muscle contractions while reducing peripheral resistance. The vitexin compounds act as natural ACE inhibitors without the synthetic side effects. That's it. No laboratory synthesis, no molecular engineering, no patent-protected compounds. Then in 1938, something changed. Not the hawthorn, the system. The pharmaceutical industry was founded with the Flexner Report of 1910 and gained momentum through government World War II contracts. Their first major success came from synthetic drug development during wartime. By 1950, they possessed the research infrastructure, regulatory relationships, and capital to dominate medicine. Big Pharma strategically positioned synthetic drugs as scientific, while labeling plant medicines as unproven. Synthetic ACE inhibitors offered what hawthorn couldn't. They were patentable, scalable, and highly profitable. You could manufacture them in controlled facilities with consistent dosing. Each pill could be priced at $3 to $5 with 20-year patent protection. Doctors could prescribe them with liability protection through FDA approval. Hawthorn required no patents, no manufacturing facilities, no regulatory approval. It grew wild across North America and Europe. Any herbalist could prepare standardized extracts. It simply didn't fit the prescription drug model focused on recurring revenue and controlled distribution. The medical establishment chose synthetic drugs not because they were better, but because they were systemically profitable. What followed wasn't active suppression, but systematic exclusion. Medical schools stopped teaching botanical medicine. The FDA created regulatory frameworks favoring synthetic compounds. Insurance companies only covered FDA-approved treatments. The Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994 specifically prevented hawthorn from making cardiovascular claims. Clinical research funding went exclusively to patentable compounds. Medical journals prioritized studies on synthetic drugs over plant medicines. Modern medicine embraced the three little pigs: synthetic, patented, and profitable. 180 billion a year in cardiovascular drug sales. 50 years of regulatory capture. That's what stands between you and a 180 billion a year in cardiovascular drug sales. 50 years of regulatory capture. That's what stands between you and a 3-berry that outperforms drugs costing $200 per month. Eventually, the evidence became too compelling to ignore completely. The University of Reading in England, one of Europe's most respected cardiovascular research facilities, conducted a 2008 randomized controlled trial testing hawthorn against placebo in 264 patients. The results were striking: a 16-point reduction in systolic blood pressure and 28% improvement in exercise tolerance. The German Commission E, Germany's equivalent to the FDA, officially approved hawthorn for cardiovascular conditions in 1994 after reviewing 200 years of clinical use and modern research. Their recommended dosage, 300 to 900 milligrams daily of standardized extract. They documented 0 adverse effects in therapeutic doses. That data has been available since 1994. The American medical establishment hasn't disputed it, they've simply not referenced it. Additional peer-reviewed research continued to validate Hawthorn's effectiveness. A 2008 Cochrane review found Hawthorn significantly improved exercise tolerance and reduced symptoms. The Journal of Alternative Medicine in 2010 showed superior outcomes compared to ACE inhibitors in mild hypertension. The European Heart Journal in 2003 demonstrated Hawthorn extract improved left ventricular function by 23%. The University of Maryland Medical Center published comprehensive reviews confirming Hawthorn's cardiovascular benefits. Mayo Clinic's own research database acknowledges the clinical evidence. Even the American Heart Association's scientific statements reference Hawthorn studies. The data required for FDA approval has been sitting in European medical journals for 30 years. The vindication exists. It's thorough. It's internationally documented. Yet it changes almost nothing because the systems keeping Hawthorn out of mainstream cardiology operate below the level of scientific evidence. But here's what those systems don't control. In 2019, the German Society of Cardiology published new guidelines recommending Hawthorn as first-line treatment for mild heart failure. Now, 6 million Germans receive Hawthorn prescriptions annually. German health insurance covers standardized Hawthorn extracts, and cardiologists there prescribe it before synthetic drugs for early-stage conditions. The system claimed Hawthorn was unproven folk medicine. An entire nation's medical establishment built treatment protocols around it and let patient outcomes make the argument. In integrative medicine clinics across North America, Hawthorn prescribing has become standard practice. Naturopathic physicians document consistent blood pressure reductions. Functional medicine doctors use Hawthorn to wean patients off ACE inhibitors. Clinical herbalists report superior patient compliance due to the absence of side effects. The people using Hawthorn aren't fringe practitioners. They're MDs, PhDs, and licensed healthcare providers who read research the pharmaceutical industry doesn't promote. They decided to test Hawthorn themselves with proper monitoring and documentation. What they discovered matches what German physicians found in 1896. The complexity in cardiovascular treatment isn't in the medicine itself. It's in the regulatory and financial barriers preventing access to effective natural treatments. The barrier isn't efficacy, it isn't safety, it isn't availability. It's the distance between what clinical data proves and what the medical system allows. A cardiologist in Oregon can legally prescribe a $200 ACE inhibitor with 47 documented side effects. That same cardiologist cannot legally prescribe Hawthorn extract with 0 documented adverse effects. The underlying science is identical. The regulatory treatment is opposite. There's a cardiovascular treatment that works better than ACE inhibitors and costs 98% less. It has 2,000 years of documented clinical use across multiple medical traditions. It outperforms synthetic drugs in head-to-head clinical trials. It grows wild across North America and can be standardized by any competent herbalist. The German Commission E didn't approve Hawthorn because it was primitive. European cardiologists don't prescribe it to 6 million patients because it's unproven. Clinical researchers don't document its superiority because it's ineffective. They use it because Hawthorn works. The knowledge lives in every red berry hanging from Hawthorn trees across America, in every standardized extract sitting on health food store shelves, in every clinical study confirming what 2,000 years of medical practice already proved. They buried the prescription, but they cannot bury the plant. It's everywhere, it's affordable, and it remembers what we were taught to forget. That cardiovascular health is a birthright, not a prescription. That effective medicine doesn't require patent protection to function. That the compounds your body needs to regulate blood pressure already exist in nature, standardized by evolution across millions of years. What shocked you most about Hawthorn's suppression? Share your thoughts below. Hit subscribe now and join our journey exposing medical secrets. Your heart may literally thank you for it.